What is going on, Minnesota Vikings fans? Welcome to another episode of House Calls. I am your host, the Skull Doc. Joining me, as always, is my co-host, Dave. Dave, good to see you, brother. It's been a few weeks. I was on vacation, and then we had some scheduling stuff going down last week. So finally, good to see you. Feels like it's been a while, and we got some Vikings news to talk about. So that's fantastic. How you doing, brother?
Besides not remembering to hit the button, yeah, I'm good.
Production value, my man. Production
I wasn't paying
value.
attention.
I'm not good.
A little under the weather today.
Hopefully I don't irritate too many people. I got the Chicago Blackhawks jersey on. I mean, can we all agree that's like one of the best jerseys in hockey? Can we at least agree on that?
It's all right. The Panthers aren't doing so good this year because of injuries. They went from going to the Stanley Cup 3 years in a row to not making it.
Now, are you a Panthers fan or are you a Wild fan?
I've never been a Wild fan.
Oh, interesting.
I was a North Stars fan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So they moved to Dallas. Left, I just stopped paying attention to hockey until I moved to Nashville and I became a Predators fan. And I'm just more of a homer. It's the home team. I root for them.
They've been good, right? The Panthers?
Yeah, they've always been good since I've lived here. They've always been good. They deep in a couple times, in the deep second round of the playoffs type thing. And then this last 3 years, they've just been amazing.
Now, is there a big following for hockey down in Florida?
It's growing. There's a lot of youth Ubering. I pick up a lot of youth hockey kids every once in a while, like practices. Are they coming and going from practice and shit? Mm-hmm. And I ask them about it. And I picked up a minor league hockey player before, and he grew up in Florida. I think one of the Olympic hockey players was a Florida-born player. Yeah. Speaking of which, we haven't been USA. I'm like,
take that, Canada.
What's it? This message is brought to you by Jimmy's Famous Seafood.
I saw that too. That was hilarious.
dude. That guy's social media popped off after he said that to the Huffington Post. Man, that is awful. People trying to make shit out of nothing.
Dude, I didn't know that we haven't won gold since 1980, the Miracle. I didn't realize it's been that long.
I kind of probably knew that, just because I don't remember us winning ever. I remember us getting silver, maybe once or twice. But again, Russia wasn't in it, so yeah.
Well, that's enough hockey talk. Guys in the comments, Daniel, Barber, good to see you guys. We're excited to be back. Talk some ball tonight. We got a lot to talk about. And I think we got to lead off the show with the news today that Kyler Murray was released from the Cardinals. Now, we expected this, but now that it's real, a lot of people are pointing towards the Minnesota Vikings that this makes a lot of sense. Now, we've talked about this in the past. I think we need to dive in on it more again today. Stylistically, I don't think it's a match made in heaven for the Vikings, but at the same time, he's clearly the most talented quarterback available to step in and be the starter for 2026 if the Vikings want J.J. McCarthy to sit this year on the bench, which to me, in my opinion, all the rhetoric has kind of pointed to that if we're trying to read between the lines. I truly believe that it comes down to the Vikings deciding, do you want to bring in Kyler and just say he's the starter day one and let McCarthy sit behind the scenes and try to work on his game for a year, be the backup this year? Or do you want to bring in a guy like Geno Smith if he's available, because at least that will be a true competition with McCarthy in training camp? Best man wins. So, Dave, I leave it to you. Where do you sit along those lines, Geno versus Kyler?
So if it's my choices is those two, I'm going to go with the upside of Kyler Murray, even though I'm not thrilled with him, but he does have flashes. And if he can control that and not have to rely specifically on him making just play within himself, and then that occasional break a big play that he does. And honestly, he has a good deep ball. I have no problem with his throwing ability. Um, he had, and his mobility is awesome. Um, you know, Geno Smith, just what is he, 36 now?
Yeah.
I'm just not. Now it is Kyler Murray is going to go with a team that's going to allow him to be the starter.
Mm-hmm.
And if they guarantee the starter, he would probably go there if the money's the same. And if it's anything to do with taxes, Minnesota loses. They got, uh,
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because it won't be a contract issue per se with Kyler. And just so everybody understands this, there's
but the money
offset.
still goes where he's playing, and that's 7 or 8 home games, right?
That's a great question, though, because the money's coming from, but I guess it depends on where your income is,
Yeah,
right?
it's
What
where
state
you're.
you
It's
live
where he
in.
is. Remember
Yeah.
how they Darnold lost money winning the Super Bowl because he spent 7 days in California, and they have a law where you're charged a percentage of based on your salary your day. You like they divide all your salary into days and charge you 7 days of salary,
That
and
sucks.
he lost money. Just imagine being a young guy that don't make much money, and you owe $280,000. I guess it's a salary, so a lower salary wouldn't have to pay as much. But
That still sucks, dude.
yeah,
California is ridiculous.
but
But no, that's a
yeah,
good point.
he won the Super Bowl and ended up having to pay more than he won. That's
Now,
crazy.
I saw somebody bring up a point on Twitter that I thought was a really good point. I really wish I remembered who tweeted this. But they said there could be a team out there. So, first of all, Kyler Murray said that he has two preferred destinations. Okay. We have to assume one of those destinations is the Vikings. We know that. Okay. The other destination, I'm guessing, is Atlanta, but we don't know the other destination.
Yeah, I
Now,
mean those two teams with great weapons.
right, and a potential at playoffs. So, I mean, we're not talking about Jets and playoffs and competing, so that's just out. Although the favorite for him currently to land is with the New York Jets, which is interesting. But anyways, what was
Assured starter
interesting,
probably. That's why.
yeah, what was interesting was that this person noted that somebody could offer Kyler a 2-year deal. Okay, in the first year, you just pay the vet minimum, the $1.5 million. But in the second year, you guarantee a bunch of money. And that's how they could beat out the Vikings by, Minnesota's probably wanting to just keep this a 1-year prove it deal, right? I doubt that Minnesota wants to go into a year two if they actually do want to leave the door open for JJ McCarthy to come back and play. So that was just an interesting thought there of does somebody kind of poison pill the Minnesota Vikings when it comes to Kyler and offer a little bit more change in a 2-year deal versus the Vikings just offering him the 1-year deal offset language?
Yeah, I don't know how that contract worked in that situation, but yeah, I could see that if it's a thing.
Well, if you're Kyler, what's his goal? Like, is he trying to find a team right now that's just going to commit to like a 2 to 3 year deal, or is he okay taking just the offset language 1 year? Hey, let's go to play with the Minnesota Vikings and kick ass and be the top free agent next year and break the bank. I don't know if that's a great idea for Kyler, just because I mean, of course, teams are going to need quarterbacks. He'll do well regardless. But next year is that big quarterback class with Arch Manning, right, and all these other quarterbacks that are supposed to come out. So not going to be an ideal year to be a free agent quarterback in the NFL. So it'll be interesting how this plays out. But I agree with you, partner, in terms of Kyler versus Geno. Give me Kyler, even though he's maybe not the perfect KOC quarterback. He does have shortcomings, pun intended, being the shortest quarterback in the NFL, having issues throwing over the middle, despite KOC's favorite call being the dagger route to Justin Jefferson in the middle of the field, 15 to 20 yards down the field. I just think that he's the most talented guy. And I mean, honestly, I think I would take Kyler over Malik Willis, which sounds almost hot takey at this point, considering how hot Malik Willis is as a prospect. But Kurt Warner had a post today on Twitter where he's like, guys, I've counted like 28 real passes from Malik Willis this year that weren't screen passes or like design little short route type deals. And this guy's about to make $30 million guaranteed off 28 passes. That's kind of scary, right? So I'm with you when it comes to Geno. All of our guys in the comments had mentioned his age. Um, he's prone to injury. He's been sacked more than any other quarterback the last 2 years. It makes me nervous. If you know what I mean, where I'm at with Geno Smith is as a backup quarterback, I'm really happy with Geno. Um, but if you're looking for a guy to come in and actually start so that JJ McCarthy can have a year behind the scenes and just work on his craft and develop, I think it's worth it to go get Kyler for a year.
Yeah, it might be one of those situations where we might not be, he plays good enough that we might not see JJ McCarthy again, but
That's possible.
because I don't know, would the second GM do the same thing that as we just did to Darnold?
And that
Have a good year and then get rid of him? I don't think so.
if that's the case, if Kyler plays himself into a contract with the Vikings, you're gonna, throw JJ McCarthy out there during the preseason and let him kick ass and try to build up his value as much as possible and try to get a second round pick for him next year. That's my guess. But you know what? That's terrible timing as well, because we just mentioned all the new quarterbacks in the rookie class, and you're trying to ship someone who, has an injury history. At that point, it's going to be about the 5th-year option, which nobody's going to pick up. That's going to be tough sledding to, try to get much value out of McCarthy at that point in time. So, partner, you know me, I've been a big JJ McCarthy supporter on the show, right? But I'm just going by the information that I have at hand. And the information that I have at hand, judging by what the Vikings have told us, is that they don't appear to be very high on JJ McCarthy right now. They are not willing to put their cards on the table right now with JJ McCarthy and say, okay, lead us this year. Okay. I think they want him to prove it, and they want a damn good backup plan. At the quarterback position. I think they'd be okay with going with Kyler for a year or going with Geno for a year and just letting JJ chill on the bench. Do you agree?
Yeah, it also makes me wonder what did Kevin O'Connell think of Murray coming out of the draft? I'm sure he did analysis of that, and just wonder what he thought of him then. If we can go back and look at what team he was on at the time. I don't know, how long has Kyler Murray been in the league?
That's a great question. I don't remember what draft he was in. I want to say like 7-8 years now. I can look that up. One thing I was thinking about with Kyler is he hasn't had the best deal for the Cardinals. He's dealt with poor offensive lines, with lack of weapons, poor offensive coordinators. He's got a little Sam Darnold to his past. You know what I mean? Where he's been a good quarterback, but I don't know if we've truly seen his potential, with what we could help him here with in Minnesota. What do you think about that?
They've had good starts and stuff to seasons, where they look like contenders, or not contender, but at least division contenders. Then it just goes to crap. He's yelling at his coach on the sideline and whatever. And I do not know enough about him to where does he study?
That's a big red flag.
Call of Duty that big of a thing in his life? That's always been like a albatross around his neck. Is the play after Call of Duty comes out it goes down. But I remember playing him at 1 year at the week after Call of Duty came out, and we beat him. And it's like, maybe that.
Barber brings up a significant concern. He's been really bad in cold weather games. Now, obviously, we play 2 potential division games in cold weather in Green Bay and Chicago. Almost every single year, at least one of those games tend to be cold, if not both of those games. And then, you have the potential to travel and talking about playoffs, unless you get home field advantage, there's a potential to play a cold weather game in the playoffs. So these are significant concerns. I don't think he has the biggest hands. Obviously, he's a short, small guy. So
9.5, I checked, which are bigger than McCarthy's.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. The other thing earlier, you said that he had a decent deep ball. I think he used to have a decent deep ball, but the last 2 years he's been one of the worst deep ball throwers, which is another thing I bring up for, is this a stylistic quarterback for Kevin O'Connell? Now, there could be some other factors there that lead to his deep ball inaccuracies, such as talent around him, poor offensive lines, offensive coordinator, whatever, you name it. but that is still a concerning stat based on the way that Kevin O'Connell wants to operate this offense. But then again, I don't think I can guarantee you he's not had a weapon like Justin Jefferson. He has not. Even have a number 2 like Jordan Addison. Part of me's curious. I kind of want to see what that looks like. And by the way, everybody, we are doing this for basically free. We don't have to pay Kyler Murray jack squat to come in here and be a starter for a year. The question is, does Kyler want to come here? I believe he does. And then the next question is, does another team outbid you? And maybe, I don't know. We'll have to see. It's going to be fun. It doesn't sound like the Falcons are necessarily giving a big vote of confidence to Michael Penix either. I think they are in the sweepstakes for a quarterback. So this could get interesting.
Well, would Penix even start the year? He wouldn't. So
yeah, I forget what the injury was. So that'll be tight there on the recovery. Bob said, I'd like to give him a 2-year. Yeah, I'd like to give him a 2-year deal. I think if you can make that work, I think it's a great idea. The Vikings probably learned their lesson with Sam Darnold and not giving him a 2-year deal. Imagine if you had that flexibility if you did want to move on from Sam and actually trade him rather than just let him go for a 3rd-round comp pick. You probably get a 1st-round pick for him at that point in time, right? Just for signing him to an extra deal on the contract. Yeah, so that's an interesting point, Bob. Thanks for that. Daniel says,
and we would
done.
Still have him, McCarthy, inside his 4-year, 4-year contract, and 5th year is an option. But
that's where it gets tricky. If you sign Murray to a 2 or 3-year deal, you have to just trade JJ McCarthy, in my opinion.
Yeah, you'd have. Yeah, just business sense, it would be. Yeah, it makes sense.
I agree. And if that's what they decide, it sucks. I feel like the kid hasn't really gotten a fair shake, gotten a fair chance. You guys all know how I feel on this show, right? I'm the foot and ankle doctor. The way that I feel about injuries is it's football and shit happens and it's unlucky. If you look at his injuries, JJ McCarthy tore his meniscus. That could happen to anybody. It's happened to my wife twice playing basketball. It's bad luck. It just happens. It doesn't mean you have weak knees. It just means that you tore your meniscus because you're unlucky. And it happens. It's athletic sports. He got a high ankle sprain. Literally happens to everybody. Patrick Mahomes has dealt with that. Josh Allen has dealt with that. It happens. It's football. He broke broke a bone in his right hand throwing the football. You're a quarterback. You're handed a helmet. That's going to happen sometimes. Like, all of his injuries to date have just been fluky crap that, in my opinion, don't really have risk for coming back and being recurrent issues, like Christian Ponder's throwing shoulder or, a degenerative knee or something like that. Like, his meniscus is healed. That's not an issue for me anymore. So people are down on him because he's missed games. He's quote unquote injury prone. I don't buy into that. I think he's been one of the most unlucky quarterbacks. It
can be your style of play too, but I don't think his style of play really is that out of the ordinary.
Like Jaden Daniels, I have worry about him. Lamar Jackson, I worry about him because they are running quarterbacks with frail type bodies. But Lamar knows how not to take a hit. Jaden Daniels, I like to think that he has a little bit of that in him, but he does put himself out there to be hit a little bit more than Lamar Jackson for sure. So, that's my soapbox on McCarthy. I hope that he gets another chance because I do think he has traits to be a franchise quarterback. And it would be the most Vikings thing ever to watch this kid go somewhere else and win a Super Bowl somewhere else. I mean, that's just, we can't have nice things. That is so Minnesota Vikings.
It's guaranteed to happen.
I'd rather not that, have that not happen, but it's football, man. So any other thoughts on Kyler versus Geno? I guess what I want to ask you is, like, what's the realistic chance this happens in your opinion? Because at this point, I think it's like 75% likely that Kyler Murray is the Vikings starter for next year.
I wouldn't go that high, but yeah, I mean, 50-50 maybe.
Okay.
I think it'd have to do with guaranteed starter. I think, it's more important to a guy because if you're guaranteed starter, it's a bigger paycheck.
Yeah.
And there's nobody going to take your spot,
Daniel disagrees. Daniel, what percent chance Kyler Murray signs with the Vikings? What do you think? And then
is the same boat as JJ McCarthy. Yeah, I
40%. So
personally
he's
thought they
closer
made a
with you.
mistake going to him, but
Part of the
first
reason
of all,
I
I
think
thought they made a mistake drafting him, and then I made a mistake going to Penix, and then now they're in, where are they at? No quarterback.
part of the reason I feel like my guesstimation is so high at 75% is because Kyler said he has two options that he likes, and we know one of those options is the Vikings. Okay. We know the Vikings have at least some interest in Kyler Murray based on some inside knowledge that I have. I just don't know if they prefer Geno or Kyler per se. I've heard they prefer Kyler, but I don't know that for sure. So
You got to go with the upside. Even though I'm not a big fan, and I'm not gonna be a guy rooting against him to be wrong and trying to be right.
so
If he can win me over in the second game like Sam Darnold did, I'm like, holy
so
shit, this guy can play. It's like I'll be all over him.
this comes down to financials then too, where we know likely, it, I don't know what the second year of the deal is going to look like if he gets more than just a 1 year deal with the Vikings. So, tongue in cheek a little bit, but we know that he's going to be cheaper than like Kirk Cousins, for example, who has said that he's still looking for starter money. That guy's always looking for money. My God, that guy's looking for money. Um, and Malik Willis we know is expensive. Geno, if he gets cut, is in the same boat as Kyler, so that's where it gets interesting. But what if there's a scenario where the Raiders hold on to Geno as a backup quarterback for Mendoza, or decide that they want Geno to play for a while Mendoza, gets his feet wet in the NFL? Then you're kind of just left with Kyler, right? So then it's either Kyler or you have to go spend money on a veteran like Kirk Cousins, or um, maybe they float a draft pick to get Derek Carr to come out of retirement, but I don't love that option at all. First of all, coming out of retirement in itself, I don't think that's a great scenario. The dude's been on his couch for a year. He does have an injury history, and I don't know what's left in the tank for Derek Carr. I just don't like that option at all. I'd rather just roll with McCarthy next year, honestly, versus Derek Carr. So really, personally, I'm just down to give me Kyler or give me Geno. And at this point in time, I do prefer Kyler Murray. Next topic, partner. There was some news today that broke that the Vikings would have interest in moving or trading Jonathan Greenard for the right price. Okay. Now, then Alec Lewis from The Athletic came out and clarified that the situation is he's due $19 million this year as a really good pass rusher, and he wants a raise. Well, I think he's entering the last year of his contract. And so the Vikings are going to have to find money to give him a raise. They're already $45 million in the hole. They have to, get a bunch of cap space here going pretty soon. So it's kind of difficult for the Vikings to create this raise for him. I think Alec even said the Vikings like this number that he's at. They feel like that's fair compensation. Of course they do. So then people were kind of shocked online of, well, why would you trade your best pass rusher? Well, multiple reasons. Dallas Turner plays the same position. He needs more playing time. Jonathan Greenard is due to make a lot of money this year. You get a lot of cap savings if you do trade Greenard. And number three, he's probably your most valuable asset right now to trade that teams would be interested in. Now, personally, I would set my goal to get a top of the half second round pick for him if possible. I would still go for a later second round pick. I think that I would say yes to that. But if you could get someone in the first half of that second round to say yes, I'd make that deal today. So what are your thoughts on Jonathan Greenard trading? Would you do it for anything later than a second?
He's first round ability, right? Just coming off an injury, you're not probably going to get that. Second round, I think more than fair. Even a late round with it, it's starting to look like you lost the deal if it's a third or later. It just doesn't look good. if you can get like 2/3, maybe, if there's a team out there with a couple thirds, third and a fourth, but anything less than a two would probably be a loss. Or but again, you got to do some things to get under the cap. You do have another option. Um, it's nice to have three really legit pass rushers on the outside. It's sad. I really like him. He's fun to watch. He's plays every down. It looks like he loves football. He's a guy you want on the team. We did get him cheap, I thought. 19 million. And he's right out of the gate played like, he was a top pass rusher in the league. When he did play last year, he missed a lot of sacks. I mean, he had him and he just let him go. But again, he got to the quarterback. I really like him as a football player. I'd be sad to see him go, but I understand the money issue, and this, if anything, makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. Daniel's saying multiple third rounders. Maybe I could see that, like 2/3. Greenard for a second rounder, I would agree with that, Daniel. I think a second round is the sweet spot for him. Now, if you're bringing in Kyler, though, that tells me that they want to compete next year with a stopgap quarterback or potentially, a guy that you might want to extend. And then at that point in time, I think you try to make it work and you do not trade Greenard, right? Maybe you talk about extending him. And I'm okay with extending Greenard. I don't have a problem with that at all. He did have shoulder surgery, but I think he's going to be fine as a pass rusher coming off
And
that.
you have a little bit of leverage too with the injury that you wouldn't have to pay him as much, maybe, but yeah.
So, I think we're all in agreement here where we would like to see him stay, but if you can get a second round pick for him and it's going to, that's what you want to do from a cap standpoint. That's how you want to shed cap. Then I'm okay with that. Speaking of cap ramifications, there's been reports that they want to keep TJ Hawkinson. We're not expected to see him be a cap casualty. They don't want to cut him, but they do want him back at a lower cap number. And TJ has already come out, per his agent, and said that he would be okay with lowering his cap number depending on how low they want to go. So to me, this just sounds like two parties that understand the situation and are both looking for an amicable number. And I think we should expect him back next year. Are you cool with
What's
that?
the going rate for a chip blocker?
Exactly. No, I mean, and that's the whole thing.
Sucks that he,
where Kevin O'Connell this offseason has talked to TJ probably throughout last year, has kept in contact with TJ saying, hey, this is not the future, right? Like, we have to do this right now, but this is not your future. And I'm sure TJ, being a good teammate that he is, understood that. And, it does suck for TJ Hawkinson to be like, hey, I was a good soldier. I chip blocked and protected your young quarterback, and now you're taking money away from me because of that. But at the end of the day, he just straight up has lost explosiveness since his knee injury. And that changed the calculus a little bit. And I think he's got the highest cap hit for a tight end in the NFL coming up this next year. We just can't have that. He's not that player. And so I think it makes sense for both sides to come to the table and lower that a little bit. And, maybe they throw him some kind of a bone in guarantees, but overall lower the cap number. Not sure how that works, but I'd be happy to have him back. I think it's a lot when you have to replace a guy like that in one offseason, even if you do spend your first overall pick on Sadiq, like the incredibly athletic tight end. I think that tight ends take a while to come into the league and come into their own. I do not think that TJ Hawkinson is cooked. I would like to give him at least 1 or 2 more years as a Viking.
Someone was posting about us wanting to trade Hargrave.
Yeah, so they floated that at the combine. It was basically a last-ditch effort, like, hey, we are going to cut this guy unless somebody wants to come in and trade us, anything.
Yeah, I was
scraps for that, but
I think the question was, what would you take for Hargrave? And it was like the 7th.
Yeah, so they
conditional eighth. Conditional eighth.
Daniel said in the comments, they've come out and they said that unless there's a last second trade here, both Aaron Jones and Hargrave will be cap casualties. They're going to get cut, which are moves we expected. Now, what was surprising is that they're also floating the name that Jonathan Allen could be cut. And because of his contract structure, we all thought that he was kind of a lock to be on this roster this year because there's a ton of dead money on his contract. But I think it was Darren Wolfson on Score North who said there could be some language in that contract, making it not as I don't know what the word is, but escapable, I guess, or basically the Vikings would be able to get out of it easier than we originally thought, based on some language in the contract.
Like if you play awful, we can get out of your contract.
Yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but that's what I was told is, watch out for that one where he could be a cut candidate as well. And if that's the case, now you have 2 starting defensive tackle spots that you have to replace. Caleb Banks at 18, question mark. I don't know. We'll see. But that kind of brings us to my next talking point, which is combine. Winners, losers, draft crush. I know we were talking about this off mic, but just give me some of your favorite performances or your draft crushes after the combine. Guys you would like the Minnesota Vikings to target.
Well, I know people are probably not happy. Yeah. Remember the last time we drafted a safety in the first round, but Dylan Thieneman.
Oh, yeah.
Is the real deal.
That's my dude.
On the sideline, he's a single deep safety. And he attacks the ball carrier, in open space. He's fast. He's got great hands. Just nose for the ball. He's there. He'd be a great replacement for Harrison Smith. And I think he's a little shorter, but he's not that. He's almost 6'1". But talent wise, he's what Harrison Smith looked like coming out of college, maybe even better. Honestly, I think he was more of a ball hawk than Harrison Smith coming out of Notre Dame was like.
Yeah, Dylan Thieneman. I was texting my buddies the other day, and we were talking about draft crushes, and I'm like, it's more than a crush. I love this dude. Like right now in every mock draft that I do, I'm taking Dylan at 18, which is wild because before the combine, I felt like safety at 18 was not a smart idea, right? Unless Caleb Downs fell there. Now Caleb Downs has a apparent possible meniscus wearing and like degenerative ACL. Like that's the scuttlebutt out there. So maybe he slides. But with Dylan, for all the reasons that you just said, he is just a dynamic chess piece with the athletic ability to basically be like is his name Brian Branch, the guy for the Lions who just goes everywhere and does everything?
Yeah, I really liked him. And he was in the same draft when we took Addison, right?
Yes. So he reminds me of a faster, lengthier Brian Branch because he can play anywhere in the box, but he can also play free safety. The one thing that I need to see him do is can he cover man-to-man well? Despite being lengthy, despite being fast, is he sticky? And then I talked to you about his ability to just flow from the middle of the field in the deep single high safety all the way to the sideline and attack that football. That's good stuff, man. That is really good stuff. I'd be all day Dylan Thieneman. If they want to take him at 18, I'm down with that all day long.
Yeah, if you float the ball down the sideline on single deep safety and he reads it, it's picked. It just looks, yeah, that's just amazing to have, honestly. Just what kind, and honestly, he can put him in a box. You said someone said he was a bad tackler, but he's not.
It's like 4% missed tackle rate. Like, I don't understand that. He's a good tackler. I don't think he brings pop when he hits you necessarily. I didn't see that a lot on film where he's going to blow you up. but he
Yeah,
gets you.
he probably
He
doesn't
gets
have
you
that like
down,
Harrison Smith had, but
right?
yeah.
But he
But
gets
every
you
other
down.
aspect of the game, I think he's got it over Harrison Smith.
100. I
Coming out
think
of
he's
college.
just like I don't think he has a lot of weaknesses. I think he's just got a ton of strengths. He does everything very well, and he's athletic as hell.
Yeah, I saw highlights with him in open field tackles.
He's
But the
got
thing that impressed me the most was this single high safety and him going sideline to sideline. It was incredible.
and he diagnoses quickly too. Not as quickly as Caleb Downs. Like that is Caleb Downs' superpower. That's why he's the first safety off the board because he is always the first man to the ball. But Dylan Thieneman, it's one thing to test fast, but you have to play fast, right? And I think Lewis Cine is a reason where a lot of people are like, no safety in round one. I don't care how athletic they are. But look how beneficial Nick Worry was for the Seahawks last year. Now, he went in the second round, but he's a first round player. We all know that now, right? With the ability that he has to take away your slot receiver, your tight end, to play single high, to play double high, to play a cloud zone coverage. He can do anything you want to, and he's got length for days. You can't throw it over him, right? Dylan Thieneman is very much like that and just as athletic. He's just not as big as Worry is. He doesn't hit like Worry, but he's a great prospect. I would be all over Dylan at pick 18, 100%. I love your first draft crush. My guy, Caleb Banks. Now, he was built in a lab. He's 6'6", 330 pounds. In my opinion, he looks like Chris Jones for the Chiefs, but he's bigger, but he moves the same. People are not this big and move that well. In college, here's the issue with Caleb Banks. Number one, foot injury. Now I'm the foot and ankle guy. I believe he had a Jones fracture. I believe he had a Jones fracture. You don't quote me on that. There's a lot of big men that have come back and done just fine after a Jones fracture. Derrick Henry is one of them. He's been fine after his Jones fracture, open reduction, internal fixation. So he came up to the combine. He just lit the thing on fire. He tested out of his mind. Now, his game at Florida, they kind of let him just shoot gaps and get into the backfield as soon as possible. And he wasn't necessarily the guy that took on the double teams and then shed and tackled. He was the guy that's like, I'm going to get in the backfield as soon as I can and make havoc. And a lot of the times he would do that. And then he would like screw up the play to the point where the running back had to jump to the right and just abandon the hole. But he wasn't successful a lot of the times in actually getting the guy on the ground. Okay. So there is some refinement that you're going to need for his game. But if you're giving Brian Flores this ball of clay, you can't even call it a ball, this boulder of clay, he's got to be awful excited about that. And the Vikings definitely have a need at defensive tackle. So if Caleb Banks was the player that they decided to pick at 18, I'm 100% down with that. I think there's a ton of upside with that. I will say there's a lot more risk with that pick than a Dylan Thieneman or going with one of the corners.
So someone posted on the video of his 40 time, but the post on it was height 98th percentile, weight 89th percentile, hand size 94th percentile. I'm a big hand size no matter what position because you grab somebody, you tackle them.
He had like 11
Arm
and a half inch hands or something like that. It's ridiculous.
94th percentile on arm length, wingspan 99th percentile. That's a that's, that's as good a size of D tackle as you'll ever get. So I get why there's a crush there.
I thought they said something like he is the third like longest wingspan player since like 1980. Like his
Well, that
wingspan
explains the
is
99 percentile then.
yeah, it's just stupid. So, what are your thoughts on him at 18? Are you down for that?
Yeah, it would be right there. And it's funny, back in the day when we were picking 12, I had a safety and a D tackle and a wide receiver. I don't have a wide receiver now, but yeah, I have a safety and a D tackle again, And they all went 12th, 13th, and 14th when back when we took Lewis Cine.
So Daniel's still not sold at safety at 18. even with Brian Flores as our defensive coordinator, knowing how he uses these guys as ultimate chess pieces, see, that's what makes it okay for me. Because this isn't just a guy who's going to go play a too high shell, right? He's going to be
Yeah,
used all over the place as a chess piece. You got, I hate to say it, but I made fun of the Colson Loveland pick in real time last year. I was like, you really just spent a top 10 pick on a tight end, a guy who was projected to go in the 20s. You took him ahead of who's the guy that went to Indianapolis. I really liked him. His name's escaping me right now. But, anyways, I poo pooed on that pick. Matthew Collar at the time poo pooed on that pick. And dude, Colson Loveland last year had a phenomenal rookie season in terms of like PFF grade and his stats, like especially towards the end of the year.
yeah.
He
Second
lit
half
it
of the
on
season.
fire. Now, if we take Dylan Thieneman at 18, you're kind of fighting fire with fire there. You're getting a guy who could potentially take him out of the game plan. That would be very important. Just looking at a divisional foe here. But shit, the Packers have Tucker Kraft, Tyler Warren. Thank you, Daniel. You're always my guy in the comments. Daniel's all over that.
Right.
Tucker Kraft had a phenomenal year until he got hurt for the Packers. Having Dylan Thieneman potentially take him out of the game plan, that would be huge. Sam Laporta for the Lions, although they are looking to trade him, he's still there currently. This is a division with a lot of good tight ends. And, to be able to have a guy who can go toe to toe with them on the defense, to have the speed and the size to stick with them, that's huge.
Yeah, how many times have we seen a safety all of a sudden get matched up with a wide receiver, get burnt for a touchdown? And it's like this guy actually has the capable of running with a receiver. Yeah, yeah, he's a do it all. He's a do it all receiver, safety, in my opinion.
Remember, just came to my mind, but Eric Kendricks carrying wide receivers all the way down the field, like in that deep Tampa zone, like against the Rams one year. Like, just having him as a middle linebacker, being able to cover wide receivers, so invaluable to your defense. Having a guy like this, like you just said, cover all three levels of the defense, doesn't matter, if it's a wide receiver, running back, tight end. It's just I'm for that reason, because Brian Flores is our defensive coordinator, I'm okay with taking that safety at 18. I think it's a very safe pick, but also I think there's a lot of high upside with Dylan Thieneman. It's not like you're just trying to hit a ball down the fairway, which very much felt like what they did with Donovan Jackson last year at left guard. That felt like a very like safe pick, but how much high upside are you actually going to get out of that player? Probably not a ton, right? But it helps to have a good left guard, but it's kind of whatever. But this is different in my opinion, just because of the different ways that you can actually use him. All over the field. It's not just a single or double high safety like we talked about. All
And
right, so go ahead.
go ahead. Hey, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, transitioning. So we talked about Dylan Thieneman. We talked about Caleb Banks. Do you have another guy who wowed you at the combine you would like the Vikings to draft?
Well, I like that running back for Oregon. Don't or
Mike
sorry,
Washington?
Arkansas, Mike Washington
Hell yeah.
Jr. Just the fact that he's a big back that ran like a 4.37 or something like that, or 4.33, I think it was. That's ridiculous.
6'1", 230 pounds. He ran 4.33. That's and he averaged 6.5 yards a carry at Arkansas last year.
I'll take that.
His issue, he's a fumbler. I think he fumbled like 7 times last year or something. A lot of fumbles.
So I'll take a second Adrian Peterson.
I was going to say one of his comps was Adrian Peterson. I shit you not. His athletic comp, mind you, not his actual play style. He doesn't look like that. I mean, he's a good runner, but he's not. Come on, I mean, let's be real. If he comped to Adrian Peterson, he'd be in the top 10 of the draft. He's a good pass catcher too. So yeah, Mike ran faster than Jeremiah Love and Price, the two running backs from Notre Dame, as Daniel pointed out, or excuse me, as Barber pointed out there. Daniel likes the running back class. He says it's good. I've been told by all the draft scouts that it's a down running back class, but I think there's some good dudes in there. I mean, it's clear to me that the Vikings need some speed. They need some lightning in their backfield, right? They got the Thunder in Jordan Mason. They need the lightning bug back there. And I like Jonah Coleman as a running back, but he doesn't really bring the juice, but I think he'll be good somewhere. I think he's kind of a Jordan Mason clone, so he's not really going to end up with the Vikings. But there are some examples like that where I like the running backs in the class. I just don't think all of them line up with what the Vikings actually need. Now, Nick Singleton, I like. He's extremely explosive. He does have a little bit that issue like Alexander Madison where he doesn't always see the hole and hit the hole. So that can be frustrating, but that can be developed. Um, Gibbs for the Lions, he wasn't necessarily great at hitting the hole either his first year. I remember on Hard Knocks and training camp, they were on him pretty hard on that season because he was messing up a lot about hitting the hole. Daniel brings up Emmett Johnson. He's interesting, running back from, was it Oklahoma? I think. No, Nebraska. He's from Nebraska. He's got excellent side to side agility, but he doesn't have great long speed. I think he ran a 4.5, which is still good enough. I just don't think, he's not going to be Achane out there. We just brought Frank Smith in from the Dolphins trying to revamp this running game. I was looking for a little bit more speed than that, but I like Emmett Johnson, maybe a good 3rd round draft pick there. Are there any other guys at the top of your head, Dave, that we haven't talked about for the Vikings running back position?
Tight end from Oregon, Kenyon Sadiq, that's really fast.
Oh, the tight end.
Probably in the mark for a tight end, but do we want to take one in the first round? I don't think so.
Yeah, Sadiq and Eli Stowers both broke the combine with their athletic scores. I think was it Sadiq, I think, jumped first, and he broke like the tight end record for high jump or for like vertical. And then I think Eli Stowers jumped second, and he broke the record right after him. I think he outjumped Sadiq. But both guys had unbelievable days, and I think both guys have really solidified themselves as top 50 picks for sure. But yeah, those guys were on fire, and especially Sadiq, like you pointed out. Linebacker class, Jacob Rodriguez. He was a guy who everyone loved his tape. He's a little bit undersized linebacker. And they didn't expect him to be like an amazing athlete at the combine, but he ended up putting up a great athletic score. I think he tested as like an 80 something percentile linebacker. So
I saw someone say that he went from a 3rd round pick to a top 50 pick.
Yeah, he's going to go high for sure.
And same with Malachi Lawrence.
Edge rusher, I believe.
Yeah,
he had a good day too. Yeah, those are there was a couple corners. I don't think is it AJ Terrell? Is that the brother? No, Avion Terrell, the corner from Clemson that we're looking at potentially. He didn't run, but from what I heard from Matthew Collar is that he did some of the cornerback drills, just backpedal, flip your hips, go get the ball type stuff. And he just moved like differently from the other guys in a good way. He just looks the part. So that's a guy to look for in the first round at 18, potentially. Chris Johnson's a long, lengthy corner who ran very well, certainly looked the part from an athletic standpoint. And then there's my guy, D'Angelo Pons, that short guy. They're comping him to Antoine Winfield. He's the small corner from Indiana. He had a pick 6. I think it was the first play in the championship game. He got a pick 6 for Indiana against, was it Miami that they played? And I am a huge fan of his. Like every time I'm in the second round, he's on the board, I just take him. Antoine Winfield 2.0. Yeah, sign me up. Barber says, what about Colton Hood? Yeah, I mean, physical corner. He tested well. He ran well. I'd be fine with Colton Hood. He's more of like, in my opinion, if they traded down to the end of the first, like that's a good guy you could grab. But my issue with Hood is I would still rather have Pons than Hood. That's just my taste. Daniel says he's right. He's right there with me. Pons, if we traded down, I agree with you. Pons is a guy that I've seen in a couple mocks sneak into the back of the first. I think Daniel Jeremiah had him in a first round. So like, don't be surprised if he is taken ahead of guys like Colton Hood, Brandon Sissy, some of these other corners. It's a good corner class, and the Vikings desperately need a corner. I highly expect them to take at least one corner in the first 3 rounds. And then I wanted to transition a little bit to talking about potential trade down. I did hear today that apparently the Vikings are looking heavily into trading down this year. Do you have any thoughts on trading down from 18?
Well, I love to build with the draft, and that's something we haven't been able to do past 3 years. We got a few hits, but nothing to write home about. I have no problem with trading down. However, if the player I like's there, and I think he make a huge difference, I don't want to do it because we learned that lesson with Lewis Seen. I think
Yeah.
all three players that I liked at 12 that year are doing good in the NFL right now, and one is the elite. So yeah, I would soon stick and pick if the player's there, and we do have a few extra picks this year, I think.
Yeah.
Um,
I think we have
so
4 top 100 picks for the first time in God knows how many years. We need them, man. No, I'm all for trading down, just like you said, partner. As long as the deal's right, don't get screwed. Don't just do it to do it. But the research shows that if you're outside of the top 12, a lot of these picks from 13, 14, 15, all the way down to like 32, they're kind of the
yeah,
same caliber player. So if you can get the same kind of caliber player and add more picks, just do it. And to be honest
yeah,
with you, I miss the Rick Spielman draft strategy. I loved it, like him trading down. I remember on draft day, we'd all get so antsy and pissed off, but it's good business, man.
he looked out a couple of times that the
Yeah.
player was still there.
Darisaw, I think that was a trade down. We still got Darisaw. For sure he did. Let's go into our mock draft, man. We're 51 minutes in, ended on a nice little mock. And while you're pulling that up, I wanted to tell everybody, if you guys are interested, I am putting together a community mock draft where I'm going to be GMing for the Minnesota Vikings, but there are 31 other GM positions available. You can pick a team, and then we're going to do this big mock draft over Twitter for a few days, and I'll host it, and it'll be fun. We're going to do 2 rounds. Trading is available, and I'm going to give everybody the contact information so we can be in each other's DMs and talking trades and things like that. So if you're interested, just go to my Twitter page. It's skull_doc, and look for my recent post and just comment on what team you want to GM, and we'll get that going in a few days. All right,
How many
partner.
rounds 4 again, or
What's that?
how many rounds?
Let's do 5 rounds. I feel like my knowledge gets up to round 5 or so, and then I just kind of like I don't know these players anymore. I'm still working on the late round guys. So we're definitely not trading up, right? We'll just let it fly.
Yeah. Let's see here.
Just the bottom.
Sorry, crap. There you go.
Jeremiah Love, I think, went number 2 overall. I could see it.
I would have loved to see him in the college
Easy on
playoffs.
Terrell.
Alabama shouldn't have made it.
All right, so we got the highest guy on our board is Caleb Banks.
Caleb Banks.
Let's scroll down a little bit. We got Tyson, Boston. So receivers are falling to us. Let's keep scrolling down a little bit more. Yeah.
Thieneman went 11.
Thieneman went 11. Holy cow. PFF loves Thieneman. So there's the Emmanuel McNeil War in there at 27. Where's Sadiq? There's Sadiq at 28. Peter Woods is a guy that I'm kind of on the fence about. He's one of the top defensive tackle prospects. I am definitely higher on Caleb Banks, though, in my opinion. Man, look at all these receivers that fell to our pick. Concepcion, Boston are still there. A lot of receivers. Now, for me personally, I don't want to lose out on Caleb Banks. I would turn the card in at Caleb Banks. How do you feel about this?
Yeah, I'm good.
Just for curiosity, click on trade. I just want to see when the closest team is that wants to trade up. 22. Yeah, that's too far. I mean, Banks is gone. Don't you think?
Oh, there's 5 teams. Yeah. Yeah, 22 is the soonest. Yeah.
Let's see what the comments are saying. Vikings are not going to spend this year. Trade Addison now. All right. In this scenario, do we want to try to trade a second round pick for Greenard once we get into the second round? I say yes, just to see what the class would look like. Let's select Caleb Banks here.
I wonder if I need to pause right away then.
I mean, let's scroll down in the second round real quick and look for a trade partner. We're not getting a first for him. I think the 49ers, the Bills, the Patriots, these are all teams that I could see trading for a pass rusher. On the left there, can you scroll down more on these teams as we get later in the second round? Maybe the Bengals at 41. You could maybe get them to bite for Greenard. Should we try to rock that?
All right, hang on.
Let's do that.
Round 2.
So you got to change.
Bengals 41.
Yeah. They are just not interested, it looks like. I mean, we could force the trade. Let's find a different partner. Let's scroll down on the left more.
They don't even want them for free. 50% for free.
Let's go to the left side here to teams and scroll down, find a later second round pick.
I'm just going down the list, 43, and seeing if they even are biting.
Oh, Daniel did want us to try multiple third round picks instead of a second round pick. We could try that. I would rather try for a late second round though, Daniel. Partner, can you go over to the left side in round 2 and just scroll down to the last, like the later part of the round? Steelers. Do the Steelers need a pass rusher? Edge need. This says no. All right. Keep scrolling down the left side there. No, the Eagles don't need edge. Yeah, the Niners. Let's try to go for that pick. Is that 58? Let's try that 58 from the Niners. See if they'll take that for Greenard.
And doesn't let me.
Can you click up by Steelers on the top left there to click change the team? You know what I'm saying? We're under offer trade.
Oh,
yeah.
Shit. Sorry.
Can you change?
No, I'm looking. It doesn't give me a 58. It stops at what is this? Teams next pick. Oh, okay. Jaguars. They don't have it says 58. San Fran, and it doesn't give me an option to trade with them. Yeah. Doesn't give me an option. Let me check Jacksonville. They don't like it.
There you go. Now go over to our side and click on Greenard. Is that already clicked?
Yeah. I've had them clicked.
Okay. No, you're on Jacksonville now. Why did it switch to Jacksonville?
Well, I don't have an option for San Fran. I have 50, 51, 52, 53, 56. And then the next pick for Washington and Dallas is 71 and 112.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm confused. Let's just forget it. And
it doesn't give me an option.
Just keep our
trade
pick
with that team.
I'll have to look at that when I play with PFF more.
Yeah.
Let's just resume draft and get to our second round pick here.
Resume draft.
Is Pond still on the board? I don't think I saw him go.
Yep.
There he is. D'Angelo Pons. Now let's see who's above him. So Eli Stowers, he's the tight end that was super athletic. AJ Halsey's a safety that I do like, but I have such a crush on Pons right now as a as a corner. Daniel gives it a thumbs up. Chris Johnson, he's the guy, he ran really well. He had a really good grade last year, too. He's got more length, obviously, than Pons. He's 21 years old. How old is Pons? Can you go back to Pons real quick? I do not know. Let's see. Go to first look. He's it doesn't give his age. That's interesting. He's a junior, though, so I'm assuming he's like 21. I mean, that's my guy. I like Pons. Bob says do it. Antoine Winfield 2.0. Turn the card in. To the third round we go. How do you feel about our first two picks, Caleb Banks and D'Angelo Pons?
Yeah. Both needs.
Both needs, both important positions. All right. I mean, there's our starting center right there. Jake Slaughter looking at us. That's looking kind of, ooh, there's Jacob Rodriguez, a linebacker that we need. Emmett Johnson, running back that we like. I'm going to let you make this pick, partner. I feel like I've steered our first two picks.
So he's an off-ball linebacker, Jacob Rodriguez.
Yeah, the only thing with Jacob Rodriguez, Thor brought up a great point. He had a really, really good defensive line in front of him that made his job way easier. So, that's something to keep in mind as an undersized linebacker going to the NFL. Daniel really wants a running back here. Now, my only thing is, can you do me a favor? Wherever it says position, can you sort by running back? I want to see where Mike Washington is on the PFF board, because if we can wait for Mike Washington and potentially grab a center here, I might elect to do that. So where it says filter positions underneath there you go. You got it. Yep. RB up 3 under tight end. There you go. All right. So we got Emmett Johnson here. Seth McGowan is a really athletic guy. Nicholas Singleton, another really athletic guy. Let's keep scrolling down. Let's find our guy, Mike Washington. Yeah, he averaged 5.8. There he is. So his rank is 160. He averaged 6.4 yards per carry last year. Over 1,000 yards. He can catch the ball too, which is nice of Mike Washington. So his rank is 160. Can you back out of this and show us what picks? So we have 82, 97, and 161 remaining. Personally, my vote is let's wait on running back and grab Mike Washington a little bit later. I would rather either take a center here. I do like Slaughter. Who else we got down the board a little bit? You got your linebacker and Jake Rodriguez. Jennings Dunker, interesting story, guys. So I'm from a very small town in northwestern Illinois. I went to a tiny D1 school or A1 school or whatever. I graduated 60 kids in my class. My dad lived in a small town called Lena, and I went there every weekend to spend time with my dad and his family, my half brothers. And Jennings Dunker is from Lena. And when they were in Lena in high school, he's younger than me, obviously. They won state 2 out of the 4 years. I think they went 3 times. They won it 2 out of the 3 times while he was in high school. That kid was a scrawny freshman who worked his ass off in the weight room and got absolutely huge. Went on to Iowa to be one of the strongest offensive linemen to go through Iowa, and now he's going to be like a second-round pick in the NFL draft. So super fun story. He's that guy with the red mullet running the 40.
That guy?
Yeah, that's him. So he went to this tiny high school where I'm from, and kids just don't make it from where I'm from. So it's a really cool story for Jennings Dunker. Barber says go Jacob. Let's go linebacker. I'm cool with that.
I don't know. I want to look at this Emmett Johnson.
I like Emmett Johnson. Yeah. I mean, if you want Emmett Johnson, you
who
can pull the trigger.
Do you want? You
So
said Slaughter?
he wanted the linebacker. He wanted Rodriguez.
Rodriguez?
Yeah.
Okay.
And,
It's a need.
yeah. Barber gets a pick. He tunes in every night. All right, we need a running back and center, I would say. So all of our guys are still there. Why don't we check on the centers? Is there another position of need that you're looking at? I don't like any of those guys. I'll be honest with you, I don't even know who that is.
Nice size. Nice size. What's his guess I don't get his stats. No, not that great.
Let's go to best available and scroll that list.
Quarterback.
That's a safety to watch out for, by the way. I think Alec Lewis threw his name out, that Zaki Wheatley guy. He's an older safety prospect, 6'2", 200. He's 24 years old.
They have his age, 24.
Smart player from what I hear. Genesis Smith, that's a guy to watch for. Arizona's defensive scheme is very similar to the Flores scheme. They let their safeties roam back there. He's got size. He tested really well. Said he had a good visit with the Vikings. Darrell Jackson, I really like Darrell Jackson. Click on him. He's a defensive tackle for Florida State. He's just a really tough guy to move. Look at this size, 6'5", 337. He was just one of those massive guys that actually tested decently well at the combine as well. I've been taking him in a lot of mocks, but it's redundant since we do have Caleb Banks. But I wouldn't mind, doubling up on the defensive tackle if you guys wanted to go that route. Bob says go running back. So do we all want Mike Washington, or did you guys want one of Nick Singleton or Seth McGowan? I'm high on Washington, man. I like that guy. He's got size and he ran fast. He can catch the ball. He cannot pass block, though. That is an issue. And just letting you know right now, based on PFF score, it's going to give us a terrible grade to pick him, but I don't really care. I like the player. And in real life, by the way, Mike Washington is probably going to go in the second or third round. So what pick is this? We're in the third round. Let's just take Mike. It'll be like as real as possible.
Yeah, this is our second third round pick, I think.
Yeah, let's just take Mike. If you want him in real life, it's going to have to be right here. I'll tell you that. After he tested that way. All right, final picks coming up. 161. We need offensive line. We could use a receiver. Can you click on the Your Picks tab just to give us a refresher of who we've picked so far? It's to the left and down with the little blue button. There you go. Caleb Banks at 18. D'Angelo Pons, our corner in the second round. Jacob Rodriguez, and then Mike Washington. So, yeah, I mean, a center, tight end. Oh, Jacoby Lane, I do like him. Couple receiver options. Bryce Lance, that's Trey Lance's brother. He went to North Dakota State. He actually tested almost the exact same as Christian Watson did. And he's like the same exact size as Christian Watson. I don't believe he has the same injury history, though, as Christian Watson does. Look at his grades. I mean, of course, he's playing at North Dakota State, but the guy can fly.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting name. Let's see what the comments are saying.
1,000 yards off of 51 catches.
Honestly, I think the center options at this point are kind of cooked. I do like Logan Jones from Iowa if he's available. I don't know if he's available or not. Can you look at interior offensive linemen, see if Logan Jones is available? There he is. Nope. Yeah, let's look at his scores. Does that say 93? Is that 83? I can't
80,
see.
79 and then 83 in 2024.
Okay. He's given up only 1 sack last year, no hits, only a couple hurries. He's played really well.
Pass blockers a 90.
Pass blocks a 90. That's really, really good. That's looking good to me. Yeah, he's kind of a late round center guy that I keep picking. Thor likes him. Iowa is kind of offensive lineman university. He's got good size. Let's pull it.
Draft him.
The Barber says Trey Lance's brother is a beast. Watch the tape. Well, Barber, what should we do? Do you want to go with the center or do you want to pull Trey Lance's brother? I'm down for either one. Comments, let us know. Wide receiver or center? Let's go wide receiver because we got Brando playing center this year, right?
Bryce Lance.
Let's go. Lance. Let's see how they graded us. What's your guess? I'm going to say B+. Hard to get an A on this site. Oh, got an A. Oh, we got a solid B.
Back.
Solid B. So they hated Mike Washington. I knew that was going to be the case. Caleb Banks got us a straight up A. D'Angelo Pons, B+. Jacob Rodriguez, C+. They probably don't like the value of linebacker, but we really need it, and he's a great player. Mike Washington, they don't like, but they are going to fix that. Trevor Sikkema, who works for PFF, needs to change his rating. He's going to go higher than that. And then Bryce Lance, they B-. That one's confusing to me because they love wide receiver as a positional need, I guess, in terms of the NFL and positional importance. But let us hear it. I mean, if this is your class through 5 rounds, you have your, potentially stud monster-sized defensive tackle. You have a feisty, fast, physical corner, D'Angelo Pons, who loves to have his nose around the ball. Jacob Rodriguez is just a linebacker flying around with his hair on fire, but is a legit good linebacker. Mike Washington is a 6'2", 230-pound running back who can run 4.3. And you got Bryce Lance, who runs 4.3 speed, tall guy, can catch the ball. Think Christian Watson, basically. That's what I expect him to look like. I'm super happy with that class. All right, man. Nice draft, partner. All right, well,
Trey Lance had 11-1 broad jump, ran a 4.34 40-yard dash.
He's an athletic
7
freak.
Flat, 3 cone drill.
Any closing remarks before we hang it up, partner?
I'm just ready to go to bed.
Yes, sir. Well, it was good to see you again. Feel better, my friend. And we will catch you guys next week to talk some Vikings news and, of course, do another mock draft because, of course. So thanks for joining us, guys. You guys are awesome. Daniel, Bob, Barber, good to have you guys. And we'll see you next week, guys. Raymond, good to see you, buddy.
Skull Vikes, guys.
Skull Vikes.